Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Warsaw for the World of Tanks Grand Finals. I had to stuff that up at one point today. Had to be now. That's okay. We're going to get that out of the way. Group A is done. Done and dusted, of course, with the Lemming Train moving straight on through. Now let's have a little bit of a look at our bracket for Group B. As you can see here, one game's already been played, and that was Noah over Energy Pacemaker. It's a 2-1 victory. Noah advancing. Now, we're going to cut straight to Red Rush Unity versus You Are Dead, which is happening outside. So we're going to get our casters involved in that one right away. So I'm going to hand it straight over to Rukil and Dorjan. Take it away, gents.
Mitch, let's go into this battle. These teams, one of them very well known, the other one kind of well known. You Are Dead in the Asian scene were the first team to really do anything. They won the first season hands down, and they had a nice event that caught everyone's attention. We'll
the marriage proposal?
That's
right.
That
was
they
cool.
actually are happily married now, and I believe she's here supporting him. So yeah, I think she brought him in. So that's a really good situation going on for them. But that is all they're known for. This is the trouble. Unity, on the other hand, are as old as time itself. And
what about their roster? I don't think it is.
That's exactly it. The name is. But they've kind of been changing players constantly. They don't really have a consistent lineup. It's pub stars. It's guys who are so good. If you meet them one-on-one, you just might as well give up. You might as well control F4. You know?
Yeah,
just F4, sorry.
It's not good, but because they shift their roster so much, there's something weird with the team. You've told me a few times about.
It seems this way, that they can't have this cohesion. Their team play and stuff, it just isn't as strong as other teams. And this is their downfall. If they lose, it's because they start disagreeing. If one team wants to do something, it's like your arms. If you're trying to pick up a piece of paper, both arms need to do things at the same time. If one's doing this and the other one, you drop it. You're going to break a toe. That's exactly what happens with Unity. They seem to drop games, not because they're not competent, but mainly because they start arguing, and one half of the team wants to do this and the other half wants to do this, and then someone takes command and micromanages, and when you micromanage, you overfocus, you get tunnel vision, and then it basically looks like they're going in circles. And this team that's so feared can end up looking like a bunch of newbies, and they don't know what they're doing. But they do.
I've had a similar experience in the NA scene. We had another team just like that, all incredible players. And if every single one of them, I would be like, oh man, he would be perfect on a team. He would be perfect. I would want all of these people on my team. But you put them all together, the egos are too powerful, and they cancel each other out instead of working together.
What is that expression? Too many chefs spoil the broth.
Yeah.
And that's it. Exactly what happens. If you've got too many egos, too many people who want to lead, it can rip itself apart. Now, there are a few core players in Unity that have always been there, or at least been together. And there's a few other guys who are always with other guys, and they know each other well. And it's a really hard team. We don't know how they're going to perform. Sometimes they're going to be amazing, and other times we're going to be, what?
So if they drop or not do so well in the first battle against You Are Dead, do you think that will affect their morale and make them go on tilt or something?
Two things will happen. Okay. One, they will overcompensate. The next battle, they will try and slap them out the way. They'll be like, we are so much better than them, we're just going to drive them and kill them, which can backfire. Yeah. Or they go ultra defensive, like, and they argue and they don't know what they're doing. So two things can happen. It's like they either completely overcompensate for it and go like, we got to just humiliate them right now because we lost. We can't believe we lost against these scrubs. We got to just kill them all. And they'll drive in there. It can backfire, because if the enemy know this happening, you just sit back and snipe at them and ambush them. And that can happen. We saw Simp mess that up once and then do it successfully the other. We even saw Synergy mess that up on Himmelsdorf as they attack aggressively but then hesitate, and then they get surrounded, and then things go wrong. And that's exactly what can happen with Unity. It seems to be a bit of a trend.
All right, I'm definitely going to be looking out for that, because it's so common. I don't understand what makes it happen. It's just, is it a lack of incredibly powerful leadership?
It's singular leadership. You need one or two big leaders, right? You need like one guy who's like keeping the morale together, one guy who's like telling you what you need to do. But if you don't have this personality that can keep the egos under check, then things go wrong. It's all about respect. And if the guy who's at the head isn't respected, then people won't follow orders correctly. People won't do what they needed of them, and things can fall apart. So when everyone's equally respecting each other, like, hey, we're all amazing, if someone drops a single shot, that person starts losing respect and things start going wrong. The balance is so difficult, so fragile. Yeah. That's the word I was looking for. Fragile is so fragile, and things can go wrong for them. That is their weakness. If they're going to lose, that's the thing. That's the reason.
The first map they're going to be playing is going to be Ensk, I believe. So that's a city map. We're going to see a lot of the T1 play, the proxy spotting coming into play. Yep. I'm expecting What? I'm expecting probably West Side play from You Are Dead. Just that's what I think the strongest thing is. For when I watch the Koreans, they were watching other regions and they were emulating the best strats. West Side is kind of the
Asian,
it's pretty much the. Oh yeah, sorry, my bad. But
we forgive your Americanness. It's okay.
It's we don't know anything about the rest of the world. It's horrible.
It's okay. It's no problem. They are a very aggressive team. Everyone from Asia these days, all the best teams are very aggressive. PvP Super Friends, which we're going to see, a very aggressive team. The Batman, we've seen him in the audience cheering. Those teams do really good stuff, really creative, different stuff. So I can only assume that You Are Dead are there. Not only that, You Are Dead claim to be theorists. They claim to be the guys that sit back, we study, we watch every game, but we don't practice as much. We actually do not do the actual practicing so much, but we know all the theory.
So they sit around and they talk about tanks a lot.
They talk about it. They're the guys in the cigars and the chairs kicking back, discussing the theory. But their weakness is the actual practicality. Now, can they perform the actions that they've discussed as well as they play?
I should like to make an 8-line push today.
Yeah.
What would you think of an 8-line push?
Well, sounds reasonable. Let's put it into action, and that may be where they can go. So let's go and talk about things on the analytics desk when they'll be able to go into a bit more detail for you. So take it away, Clutch.
Thank you, gentlemen. Red Rush Unity versus You Are Dead. You Are Dead coming out of Hong Kong from the Southeast Asia region. Now we get to see how they're going to compare to the rest of the world. Red Rush Unity is a team that a lot of people have seen what they have brought to the table, and we were actually really excited to see how they're going to perform as well. Second seed team coming out of the Russian area. Now, gentlemen, you've had some experience when it comes to Red Rush Unity. Now, the Red Rush team has some history in the world of tanks. Na'Vi took over the premier Red Rush team when they became a professional team over a year ago, at least. So tell me what the difference is with Red Rush Unity for those that are maybe unfamiliar with this clan.
Well, Red Rush Unity is a young team, really young team, and they change their lineup a lot after every season. Someone actually told me they had almost like 29 changes.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's quite a lot, unheard of.
In 1 year.
I think Anatolic and Kapik are the only two guys that are actually there from the start. And they are veterans, of course.
Well, veterans of fight coordination, veterans of aggressiveness, and also accuracy. The decision-making, a little bit low. Creativity. I find this to be an intriguing talking point because we see a lot of the draws in terms of mechanics of how the game is played. It's part of the game, but a lot of these teams will try to fatigue their opponent via draws in some of the settings, but the rule set that we have here at the Global Grand Finals, that's not the case. The rule set says that if we go to a draw scenario within the best series, then it goes to San River.
Unity is a very talented team and they like to play aggressive. They like to have initiative, and it backfired usually against Na'Vi to them because Na'Vi knows how to wait for them.
I really hope they will stand up to their name and use some Rust tactics. If they play Himmelsdorf, I would really like to see 4 IS3 setup. That was awesome last time they used that.
They're also the only team that almost brought Na'Vi to their knees. In first season, they met in loser bracket, and they just had victory in their fingertips, but they lost it because they were young and inexperienced and probably under a great pressure at that moment. So we will see, did they manage to grow up until now?
Luciquel is one of the fan favorites on Red Rush Unity, and he streams a lot as well, which is very important and vital for a lot of these teams and individuals to have that streaming mechanic because it allows them to interact with their fans outside of tournaments and to have some sort of income generation outside of tournament results. And we all find that to be very important to the ecosystem of any of these players in any esports game. But what is it about Luciquel that makes him so liked?
He's actually, if I can recall from the past 30 days, he's in the top 5 players in the whole EU.
It's one of the top 5 players in the whole EU. Well,
yeah.
That's a really good qualification to have, pretty much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the game is almost underway. Let's throw it on over to our commentators.
Thank you very much, and let's go straight into the game as we see a big push already underway on Insk. So let's go into the game. Now we have a big lineup here. 4 IS3s can only scream one thing. We are shoving our tanks down your throat and you're going to eat them. And that is the only thing that could possibly happen here.
Yeah, it's but a whole lot of spotting happening right now. Everything is spotted. The entire strat from Red Rush Unity has been revealed. Can You Are Dead actually deflect this?
That's the question. They were prepared for something a bit different. They were heading out into the open. They didn't expect to have to deal with this, but Onion Head has actually received so much damage already. 707 HP already. A little bit damage against Rhino, though. He is down to 1,089 himself. So 1 for 2 there. Well, 1 for 3, actually.
Onion Head is in a really dicey
Bad spaces.
position.
Artie comes out. He does get a hit, and he does dodge too, but there he goes down. Double shot. That was like a laser blast, totally taking his tank down. So, one guy back to the garage, or 2 guys back to the garage already, but 1 combat tank and 1 T1. Minimal damage for Unity. They are trying to make an impression right here, right now. Cap is the guy defending against this cap pressure, as God's Cow 1 does go into the cap circle to put the pressure on, and Soldier Wu is there as well.
We could actually see You Are Dead. Oh, there's the cap pressure. And actually, Red Rush Unity is predicting this. They're returning back south, and I don't think You Are Dead is prepared for this at all.
Get out of this.
They're going to lose another tier 8 in just a few seconds.
If they don't run out now, they're going to be caught out, but then they might be able to surround them, and they are actually. You Are Dead are coming back in with the North Force, and this could work out for them. Dardo's taking quite a bit of damage, and if they can get round quick enough, they might be able to do it. As Soldier Wu takes Dardo down to very low HP. He might be able to know. Dardo does get out of there as Antelich comes and saves his teammate, but it is doing really well here for You Are Dead as they do surround Unity. Artie's down to no HP and is on reload. He's going to die. At best, he's going to absorb another shot for his teammates and keep the vision on You Are Dead. And that's actually a really important point as his teammates, there we go, he does go down. This is great play by You Are Dead. Totally unexpected probably for Unity as Dido's in trouble and they're defending their cap zone as Antelich is deflecting a couple of shots.
It's really phenomenal. I was looking towards Soldier Wu. He barely escaped. I was expecting to see Rhino shut him down, but Red Rush Unity is kind of losing a lot of their steam that they had at the beginning. They were just not non-stop, but now it feels very different from the beginning of this.
Yeah, they did want to make an impression. They charged in there. They expected to roll over, and then they realized that, wait a minute, these guys are not as easy as we thought they were, and now we're going to have to actually try. And this is exactly what's happening now. It's like, okay, these guys are not an easy prey. We're going to have to actually fight this through. Lusik do some great side scraping, but not good enough, and he takes some more damage. And oh, what a shot! Taking Minchan down to 74 HP. 1 shot for any tank. Although T1 won't be able to take him out.
Of course. However, I should point out the T1 advantage. Both Cap 1 and Nuclear are still alive. That is huge for Red Rush Unity. They can put cap pressure on. They still have that scouting to the east and the west that they can very freely do.
Yeah.
And they also have control of the tracks. Rhino has control of that.
Legacy Jana does take a hit from Rhino. Rhino's trying to find Mini-chan and take him out. So it looks like You Are Dead are trying to reposition their 5100s around the side. This could actually pay off for them. It have to be really quick though. If they do not get into position within the next 10 seconds, it's probably too late. I say 10 seconds, that's very liberal, as the 5100s are going to be too late. They've been spotted, they know they're coming, so Unity have to move forward now, but wait, they're not too late. Mini-chan actually reflects both the shots, and here they come around the back. The 5100s are unloading into the side of Unity, and this could be their opportunity to win, but a few reflections here by the great players of Unity might be enough to turn the battle. So Soldier Wu needs to get this kill off before any more damage goes down to his teammates. This is doing really well for You Are Dead, as Rhino's also down to 2 hits. He might be able to go down for Soldier Wu, but he's going to be very careful. Oh no, he shoots into the ground. That's a bad thing. That might be the shot that cost him the game. What an absorption for Rhino. But Dardo goes down to almost nothing, but look at the low HP for the entire of Unity here. But it seems to be 1 tank now against too many, and the cap pressure is down to 15 seconds. You Are Dead. What a fight though. What a fight. This was super close. Yeah, but wait a minute, Soldier Wu, sorry. There we go. Sorry, that didn't actually go down. It looked like a kill would happen there.
Yeah.
They came up with a kill. But Lucy goes down to really low HP, but there will not be a reload. That is it. GG. Game 1 goes to Unity. Very close, though. All the HPs were super low. A couple of 5100 misses. What we were talking about earlier. If you don't hit those 4 shots out of 6, at least it can cost you the game, and that's exactly what happened in the last second. The 5100s came in. Their strategy was perfect. The theorists came out with a perfect strategy. They countered them. Implementation, not so.
Yeah, really dropped the ball there. And I also think a few shots that were not as optimal. Also in IS-3, Onion Head was unable to do as much. However, Soldier Wu did a fantastic job in his 5100, getting about 1,626 damage out.
They did really well with
Rhino,
the positions.
Rhino in that IS-3 did almost 3k damage That is phenomenal. Really great IS3 play, showing that these guys really are the pub stars you're talking about.
Exactly.
Really
individually, they were
exceptional.
doing really well. I think team play-wise, Unity lost that battle. They lost it hard.
Yeah.
But individually, they just bounced more shots. They landed more shots. They did the damage, and they pushed it in their favor. But tactically, URTED outsmarted them at every turn.
Yeah, they really didn't respect their opponent, I think. They said, these guys are not from Russia, not from EU, not even from NA, and that's kind of the steps down that I feel like you get when you have those
There
kind
is
of
a bit
teams.
of an ego thing between
Yeah.
the regions. The Russian region, or the CIS region, is the oldest region. Their players have had the most experience. They've had the most exposure. There's the biggest fan base. So these players do feel themselves superior in every way. The European teams have proven themselves over and over that they're at least as good. But the North American teams, the Asian teams, the Chinese teams, the Korean teams have not had that opportunity yet. And here they're all making a name for themselves. We've already seen it once with Simp, completely unexpected, making a name for themselves, like almost getting out of the group phase, which no one expected. If you were asking the bookies to make a bet outside of North America, no one thought they had a chance. But what did they do? Prove that North America has what it takes. And then we're now seeing URTED pulling it out for Asia. Really respectable performance.
I was talking about this before. Even if it wasn't a loss for Red Rush Unity, do you think that will affect them because their egos?
For sure. That will now, they will not rush in the next map, or at least I don't think so. I think that was enough to prove that their rush almost failed. If it wasn't for their individual skill to recover, they would have failed. So I think the next game they're going to play much more slower and see where it takes them. It's the only way.
The next one's going to depend on spawn, though, because we are going to mines. And unless they play the south, I'd expect more of an aggressive push. I mean, the north side, I think the north side you play aggressive.
Yeah,
south
that's right.
side,
South side's much more defensive. So if they get the south side, they might not know what to do. They can camp. Unity have been known to, especially against Navi, they lose their focus, they lose their confidence, and they know that they're in a little bit of trouble. So they will try, and instead of attacking, they will panic and perform much worse than normal because it's Navi, and they seem to always panic against Navi. The one exception, as Mojo was talking, in Season 1, they did manage to throw Navi off, but Navi were already doing this before they were Navi. They were actually just dropped out of Red Unity, the Red Rush clan, the Red Rush Unity, Red Rush, all the Gra and all those sort of people. They just dropped out of that, and they had got these new t-shirts with crabs on it. Because in Russia, the joke is like, if you're a bad player, you're a crab. So they were crabs.
And in EU, it's like tomatoes. And
yeah, stuff. Exactly. And then they played one game, lost. Sorry, the second day, they lost against New Star, and then burnt their t-shirts because they thought it was a curse.
Burnt the t-shirts?
Literally burnt the t-shirts.
Do we have footage of that?
No.
No footage?
They told us, so we didn't actually see it. But they did. They said that they got rid of them. They literally got rid of them. They thought it was a curse. They thought these were the reason. And that's when they fought Unity on that day. So Unity were not at their best mindset by... sorry, not Unity. Navi were not at their best mindset there at all. But they did come back, and in the finals of that exact tournament, 3-0'd New Star at the end.
Wow.
So they came back up, they recovered, and went bang, bang, bang. This is us. Watch us. This is how we do it. And they've done that ever since. Even Unity in the final, both second and third season, 3-0. Bang, bang, bang in the finals every time. It's not even close. Unity just gets scared. They really get scared. And we will see if they meet later in the tournament. But Unity have their flaws, and it seems to be morale. They can't keep it up.
Well, morale's been the name of the game for today. I mean, we saw Lemming Train was just up and down all over the place.
Yeah.
But they were able to hold it through. Red Rush Unity, a lot of people say they have an easier group, though. They're going to be going up against teams that are going to be probably easier, at least in their opinion. But they're being proven wrong here that it's not as easy a road as they thought.
It's not an easy road. I think as we said, they're underestimating them because it's a young region. Water tanks has not been available in these parts of the world as long as the European and Russian counterparts, the CIS counterparts.
Southeast Asia, all the Australians and the rest of Southeast Asia would all play on the North American server.
Yeah, so it's been harder for these players to get the practice in. They hadn't had the wealth of opponents as the other regions may have had. So yeah, some of the regions look down on them as like, oh, they're the newbies, they're the kids. Yeah. But we've seen them that their parents aren't always right, and that they can fight back quite strong. So maybe new, but new is not always bad. So there we go. Anyway, so the next map actually will be mines, it seems, as we said. Yeah. We don't know which side they're going to start from. So let's take the scenario. We have Unity from the north. They have their aggressive position. What do they do?
I'd take the hill every time. 1390, shove them up there. Maybe WZ-132 if you feel like your opponent's going to take that. If they've been watching footage of You Are Dead, they know whether or not the chances of that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a fan of water play, though. Like I like the hill. It's cool. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's a great way to, be better in a brawl. But the water side, the west side of the map is a really fun place that I think doesn't get explored enough.
Okay, well, let's throw over to the analytic desk, the experts desk, hosted by Clutch, just to make sure that they can give us what they think will happen on Mines.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, Mines is my favorite map, Rookill's favorite map, for a variety of reasons. But one of the biggest reasons, honestly, is the water play option. We haven't seen teams really execute that type of play yet. And what I mean by that is a lot of teams are going to go to the center of the hill. They're going to go to the center of the area and fight for the higher ground. And that's obviously, for a lot of people, one of the best tactics to use. But the water play can prove to be a counter for that. And sometimes even Eastern play if you're feeling a little bit crazy. But gentlemen, why is it that these teams want to go to the center, they want to get that higher ground? What is the benefit of having that area of the map?
Well, there are several features. Higher ground, obviously, control of the map, easy rotations everywhere you want to go. And on the other hand, the water side has been significantly changed. Displacement of rocks and bushes has been moved, and now you cannot really play that side same as you did before. It gives less cover, and you are pretty much blocked if you get caught there. Especially you have water part. Water slows, as in life, tanks a lot.
Yes.
It's mud and water, and you are like half slow and dead in the water, almost like you are tracked. So people are avoiding that part just because of that.
Well, sometimes if the opening is available from the northern side, they can send some of those 1390s, if they're fast enough, to move to the south and put pressure, especially against teams that play more defensive. Now, Rookill and Georgia talked about the surprise maybe that Red Rush Unity was feeling from the advancement of You Are Dead, but the tactics of You Are Dead I find to be a little bit different compared to maybe some other teams' approach, at least to the grand finals. Some of the research that Uber was able to do, since he's down in Australia, and that's a closer region obviously than America and Southeast Asia, is that they're crafters of anti-strats. They look at what teams are doing that's popular and they try to look at what's the reverse of that. I feel that may be thrown out the window a bit with the blind picks, but if they're flexible and adaptable, it could be in their favor, depending on how to do the opposite of their opponents.
Yeah, that's true. If they can read the minds of Unity and they pick the right strategy they're going to use in mines, I think they can counterplay it. That's true.
I can add up on that. If they are doing the counter tactics, they're doing a bad job, because Unity used these tactics like recently with same rush with 4 IS-3s to get same advantage than to try to rotate, but it went backfired on them because the guys that were rushing were Navi.
Yeah, well, that's what can happen, honestly, on nets, especially on a map. They have that division with the road, as I talked about before. Well, I want to bring up the Eastern place. We're still waiting to make sure these players are ready to go. What I mean by the East is you have a lot of T1s putting pretty much scouting placement in this area, in the city, behind the buildings. And a lot of times it'll turn into 1390s chasing after the T1s. Or sometimes the T1s survive a firefight, win the T1 firefight, and then can put cap pressure up to the northern side. And we do see that sometimes. What is it about the East that we hardly ever see teams make a full commitment? Is it too open? Do they sacrifice too much gameplay and game advantage by not going to the center of the hill or not using that in-between area in the center of the map?
Most of the times, if the teams spread their like 1390s to the east and they keep their heavies or mediums in the middle, and the enemy spots it, that the 1390s are coming from the east, they will counter-split strong from the middle with everything they got. And it will be 5 versus 3 situation in the middle, and the 1390s will be too late coming from the east. That's a big problem
a lot
with
of
the east play.
It's that overmatch too, right? If they can scout with one of the T1s or another tank, hey, if they only got 3 of their heavy tanks on this side, push, it's 5 against 3. Who's going to win?
Yep.
Numbers, pretty much. Now, sometimes we've seen some 3 against 4s, and the 3s win because they land their shots, and that comes down to individual player skill. But you don't want to play against the numbers, especially with the potential RNG factor that can happen. The overmatch is always the best way to go. But that's why you use those T1s in very crucial placements. And because of the possibility of that Eastern play with those T1s, I feel that some of these teams don't use that as a viable advantage, especially after the 5-minute mark. But all of these teams want to play to their strengths and to the fundamentals of World of Tanks. And the fundamentals shows us that the center play to move to the higher ground is usually the best play. Now, Rulkill and I, we talk a lot about the WZ-132. I feel it has some advantages compared to a 1390 in a certain window of strategy. He'll disagree with me for the most part. Maybe I've converted him a little. But if you look at the tanks, the 1390 autoloader deals damage, a beast of a tank, quick. However, the WZ-132 is not an autoloader. It'll load faster at the beginning of the game compared to a 1390, and it has way better traverse speed. And sometimes that traverse speed could be effective on a map like Mines or even Prohorovka. I believe both you gentlemen would disagree with me, though. 1390 is pretty much the best tank to choose out of any scenario.
While I watched the game, the NA finals, the WG-132 worked when the enemy team picked 3 1390s and they went to the hill. So they had used the WG-132 as a counter to the taking the hill with 3 1390s. So the opposition team had 2 1390s and a WG-132 with usually the small gun because it has the higher DPM. Yeah.
I would say that VZ would be a problem now with these specific game rules that are introduced now. Blind picks are more or less destroying VZ. If you want to play fast-paced game, to get control of the hill, and you know what the other team is playing, that's what you want to do. You need that tank to start doing damage, to even maybe try to block 130-90 to give a easy target to your T69s. But what will you do now if you have a T32s and they don't care to go to the hill immediately?
With the blind picks, actually, I don't think we are going to see the WG-132, but the KV-5, that's an option.
I love how you bring that option out.
They used that in the Russian finals, and they had blind picks in there. So if a team brings KV-5, that will be interesting.
Yeah, he can be used instead of that 50-100, like Butcher played. Yeah. He would probably bounce like 3/4 of those shots.
Butcher would stay alive a lot longer, probably. KV-5, that's what we've seen so far.
And he can ram with the KV-5.
Who does not want to have a couple ram kills with that thing? We'll probably see the KV-5 used the most on Ruinberg. I mean, that's where we see a lot of the strategies develop. But mostly, a city map is where we're going to have the advantage of that moving wall. With Mines, I'm going to bring this strategy up, and I'm going to challenge you guys not to laugh, because it was really hard for me not to laugh when I was commentating it. But some of these teams are trying to do anything they can to surprise their opponents. AMX 1375s versus AMX 1390s. The reason being, they load faster than the 1390s. Never worked. It never worked. Teams kept trying to bring it, but they couldn't do enough damage.
But you just put a gun of 1375 on 1390, and you get more HP and everything.
Yeah, that's why I meant. It was a 1390 chassis, but it's a 75 gun.
No, it can work. I've seen it work.
You've seen it work?
Yes.
You need to link me those replays, because in America, we've seen teams try that strategy, and I respect the strategy. I see what they're trying to accomplish. But misses and bounces, to me, is too big of a factor based on the reload
speed. It was used mainly to get hill control when you know they have 1390s and you really want those few seconds of advantage. And usually it was used just not on all, on one guy. And he was the all that was needed. And 1390s don't bounce that much.
Well, a lot of people have been interacting with us on Twitter, and Melly has been interacting with them back. Melly, what has been the crowd reactions so far to the tournament, and are people cheering for some of their favorite teams?
Well, Lemming Train is definitely the community darling, let's call them that way. It was amazing seeing Twitter going mental about their advance in the group stage, and a wildcard team made it. It is amazing, and that's exactly what people at home are saying. And yeah, I'm constantly live tweeting every match. So if you have to leave sooner or later today, and you won't miss any matches if you follow our Twitter account WGLEU, and I'll be tweeting every round of the matches. So it's really worth getting in our network and being part of our Twitter followers.
It's fantastic to see a lot of people communicate to us, a lot of the hashtags, #NoCons, so all the American fans out there, the WGLNA. The interaction that we've seen over the community that has grown with World of Tanks has been fantastic, and to have Wargaming push through their launcher, the broadcast of the different regions, to learn more about these teams, to see the profiles and the videos of these teams, to me is very, very important, because when we get to see their personalities outside of the game, we get to see the human element of what's at stake with these different individuals. Now, you guys have been competing for a while. You're newer to the World of Tanks scene. You've been competing for 3 seasons. I'm sure you guys have your ups and downs within your clan. But what does it take for a team outside of the game to be able to handle pressure like this?
Commitment, friendship, and desire to succeed. Because however you fall, you just have to get up and move on. If you can do that, you can do anything.
Oh, did you learn that at camp or something, man? That was beautiful.
No, I was falling quite far.
Had to pick yourself back up. Well, your experience so far, detail for us what it's like in the season that you've competed, and how can any of these players, these fans out here that maybe play casually, how can they get involved in the esports scene?
Well, in EU, it's actually easy. You pretty much go to the ESL webpage and just sign up, and you can go to play A-Series or Go for What games. Both of those are really good way to take part of the esports and start building your team and training, of course.
And the ESL website does a great job organizing the Go for World of Tanks Cup. And as you mentioned, more information. All you got to do is Google it, guys. When it comes to the breakdown, though, of the 7x42, and we're going to kind of cater to some of the people that are maybe not as familiar to World of Tanks and the esports side. Some people are a little bit taken back a bit by the difference compared to 15 on 15. So when you're trying to explain what is 7x42, how does it work, and how do the things that you learn by playing public games, by learning about your tanks, by moving up to tier 8 and tier 10s, how does that translate into 7x42?
From random games, you pretty much start learning the tanks. It's all about learning the tanks, your own tanks, what you want to play, what's your best tank, what's your second best tanks, because those are mostly the tanks you're going to play in your team. Once you get to 742, you just start training all the time, and build up your team and your own skills.
I would say tier 8 tanks are most balanced in the game.
Yeah.
They're overall what the tanks should be. And while you're playing the random games, you learn startup game mechanics. You really need that. You need to know how to move, how to exploit some parts of the map, and then subconsciously you translate that in higher state games like ESL, League, or whatever. You just implement what you learned, and then you move on and go on.
But when it comes to tiers or nation to choose, if you were to start with one nation, I'm going to say America because I am biased, and I also was told that the M4 Sherman is a fantastic tank, which it is. Moved on up to T32, tank with no cons, moving on up past that to the T110 E5. If you could choose one nation to start, what would it be?
For a new player, I think the easiest way to start is with the Russian tanks. They're pretty good overall tanks. I personally started with Germany. I have played like 50% of my games with German tanks, and I still like them. They're big and heavy, and they can take the shells. I like to be the tank.
You like to beat the tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely agree. For starter players, Russian and American line are best. But once you advance the game, you need to start playing French. French are hard to play. They seem like overpowered, but you have to have skill to do the overpowered part. They die easy.
It is quite a different type of gameplay mechanic when you have a 6-shot autoloader compared to a continual fire tank. And that's one of the biggest things that you see in the strengths of the French tanks with the 5100 and the 1390. However, their armor isn't as thick compared to some of the other tanks. But you mentioned the German tanks, and I want to go into this here for a bit, folks, as we wait to make sure that the players are ready, is we hardly see any German tanks being played in the competitive scene. We saw the Jag Tiger, or was it the Jag Panther?
Jag
Panther today.
And sometimes we can see a Borsig.
Yeah. Rheinmetall.
The other Rheinmetall, the other line of TDs.
Why is that? What is it about the game mechanics that we don't see German tanks as much?
They are a bit too slow. That's the main problem with the German tanks. They are heavily armored, but because in the esports we use the gold shells, the armor is negated pretty much. So you need to have the like IS-3 that can bounce the shells from a really good angle without having the great armor because of the
Angled slopes.
Angled armor,
yeah.
Spaced armor sometimes.
Space armor. Yeah.
Well, we've seen Tiger 2s be used a couple times in the North American scene, but not effectively.
Really.
Yeah,
the problem is it is really well balanced tank, but for a random game. When you play competitive game, you need something that is specific for some kind of use. If you want a tank that has a good cooldown, you will take T32, strongest cupola. If you need a good alpha and a profile of a tank, you will take IS-3. He has that. If you want a like a clipper damage dealer, you will take 5100. But where can you fit a Tiger 2 there? He's big, he's not that slow, he's accurate, but he doesn't do that much damage. He's neither cold or warm. It's just something in between.
Yeah, it's kind of in the middle of the spectrum. Well, we wanted to detail for you guys, if you're new to World of Tanks, how to get involved. And if you do have any questions, make sure to go to worldoftanks.com or wargaming.net. We're going to take a very quick break, but during that break, we want you to get to know a little bit more about Lemming Train.
Hello, my name is Cosma. I'm known in World of Tanks under the nickname of Karmon, and I'm playing for the Lemming Train team from Poland. To be honest, the tanks were just found out by me by some link in commentary about about the Kubinka Museum. I'm trying to be morning person, but it's not always working. But in case if I need to get up, I can sleep 3 hours and just get up. But I'm trying not to. The team was formed before I get in, because it was team made by Ilyan, Snip, and also other guys from Suicide Division. They make the team, they decided to change the name to Lemming Train. I joined the guys after I left Evil Panda Squad, and for another year and almost year and half now, we are changing the people, trying to get the best Polish squad we can. My favorite color is probably red, because I just like it. To be honest, my favorite non-team battle tank will be the Micro Mouse, because tier 2, you just go to the battle and everybody is looking at you and nobody can just kill you. And you're ending the game with 14 or 15 frags and you're just happy and smiling, yeah, you are noobs. Doesn't matter for me because I drink Sherry Coke, so I'm just happy that now it's made in bigger bottles, and also like Sprite. In case of my favorite or dream car, I must say it will be some Aston Martin or some muscle car, but everybody knows American cars are not that good, so I will choose a British one. In case of offline event, you have bigger stress because you're in the front of camera, in front of the row. The first 2 or 3 events were really stressful for us. Now I doesn't give anything about that because it is my 10 or even 9 or 10 events, so I'm not that stressed about that. Also, we can drink some nice cola or Sprite with us. Probably tea, I would say, but I'm not drinking that much of tea. I never drink coffee, so I would choose a tea. Apart the tanks, my biggest hobby is electronics and also watching the movies and some TV series. I really like to watch Big Bang Theory or How I Met Your Mother, but I'm still waiting till it ends. And also really love the Top Gear. It's a great show. I was in some Polish museums, I was also in some museums in Europe, but the biggest museum was Kubinka, and really seeing Mouse and other tanks like King Tiger 2, it was great. To be honest, it will be better if it won't be that many tanks there in not that big buildings, but yeah, this museum is just awesome. In my case, it's more like to being a manager now. I'm trying to get multi-games here for my team. I'm trying to get sponsors. I'm also talking a lot of stuff to Wargaming, to ESL and other participants in the league. So it's more work in the business and bureaucracy now than playing. But still, I'm trying the best for my team. Neither of it. I just love Milka, which is white and black. So this is my favorite. It's a mixture. It's called Happy Cows or something like this. My favorite event is the event where I am, so every event is just awesome. It's about the prize, about the being there, about talking to people, about drinking with like Arclit. I love you too. I would like to thank everybody from my team, everybody who supports us, all the guys from the Polish scene who wants to play with us, who wants to try to beat us. Because of them, we are just getting better. The guys from ESL Poland who are helping us a bit in case of tournaments. And I also want to thank my girlfriend that she's still with me, and she led me to Minsk in Valentine's Day, so that's awesome. And because I'm playing too much, so it's great that she knows that it's very important for me. Goodbye, everybody.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wargaming.net League Global Grand Finals, where teams from around the world are competing for a $300,000 prize pool. We're currently match number 1. You Are Dead versus Red Rush Unity. Red Rush Unity is up 1-0, and game 2 is about to begin. Let's throw it to the commentators.
Thank you very much, Clutch. Well, that was really good getting to know Lemming Train there, a little bit more behind Carmen and what he has to offer the world. And that was a very good interview from him. But we are back into the game. You Are Dead and Unity. Let's refocus on these guys. As Unity got a little bit stopped by You Are Dead, but did manage to come out ahead. So, game number 2 is going ahead on Mines. What are we going to see there, sir?
Probably Hill play, of course. Could see some West Side play, but we don't know UAD as well as we do Red Rush Unity.
That's it. It's all up to, from what we're assuming, is Unity's play. Will they continue being aggressive, or will they be a bit more cautious now they respect their opponents? Let's find out in game number 2. UAD versus Unity. 1-0 so far to Unity, and we see the tanks.
Interesting choice. I see Soldier Wu from UAD is actually going to AMX 5100. There's going to be a T69 and 31390s. Both teams going through 31390s. We're probably going to see some kind of hill play from both sides. However, that 5100 slows things down. Although the 269s are incredibly potent, we have to watch out for those.
But this is the first time I've seen such an aggressive move into the east. I've never seen this in the Russian region at all. And one thing I want to say is that we do call the double T69s the gunslingers in the RU, because they're together and they fire so quickly, they just shoot someone down. So this combination is crazy, but this has taken them by surprise. They absolutely would not have guessed this. They've never seen this sort of attack. But what they will do is take advantage that Moonshot is on his own and did not wait a second and take him down. We missed that action, but
already a tier 8's down.
Tier 8 is down. They realized that the team was just too far away, and they have got them. Well, that was a big surprise there for You Are Dead.
Yeah, just now with the hill control, Red Rush Unity has every reason to win. They've got T69s on hill, 1390s on Overwatch, and it looks like You Are Dead's gonna try and make some kind of...
They rush back and actually disagree with this move from You Are Dead coming back. They should have just continued going around or maybe gone for a cap or something. But here they go, some damage going in the back as the tanks here from Unity unload into their rear as they approach the hill. But this strategic advantage they have, Unity's positions are just far too much as Diodor, Artie, Rhino, Luciga are all there trying to do the damage. And Soldier Wu goes down to very low HP, and so does God's Cow 1.
It's not a good situation for You Are Dead. They've put themselves below the hill. They made an east side push. They could have kept going with it, and they just turned themselves around. They really are hobbling themselves.
They did panic a little bit, but Onionhead comes in, doing the damage to Rhino. Rhino just needs another hit, but they go for the ram to take him down. They are going into sword fighting techniques here. Take my sword out, get me closer. I want to hit him with it. This is crazy tactics here by Unity. They didn't lose their stride after the first game. They are setting an example, but look at the low HP there from Onionhead. Will survive for a few seconds longer. They're going for the ram. Luciga's going for the ram. Will he be able to pull it off? He just needs a tap, and there he goes. He's got it. And that is it. 2-0 to Unity. Much less impressive there from You Are Dead this time round. They panicked. They should have been more sure of their tactic and continued going. But they didn't. They panicked a bit. They came back, and that was Unity's game.
It's just east side play is easily countered by hill control. If you have control of the hill, the east side is not going to work out. In almost no situation are you going to be able to make it work if you make the east side. West side, maybe? Maybe if they'd pushed the west side, tried to make a rush on the water, they could have made a good fight of it.
They could have done something in the east. They went east, lost the tank, came back, and that lost every possible advantage they could have had. If they kept going, got around the back, they might have done something. But turning around, you slow yourself down to 0. You have to speed up again. It means that they're even slower back. Gives Unity even more time to get into position. It was the worst thing they could possibly have done.
Well, in pushing the east, they actually gave up their cap. They had to return to it because they recognized that they were going to lose just on cap if they kept pushing the north. But
they could have come back around to the hill, is what I'm saying. If they want to come back to the hill, they could have just kept going around and come around the back.
The reason they came back the direction they did, though, was because they wanted to catch anyone rushing to the cap. I think that's what they were going for, at least the mentality they were...
Either way, it didn't end up well for them. And Unity Red, once they saw the tactic, they were surprised, but they instantly knew what to do. Like, well, that T69's on his own then. If we've seen them all running that way, we can just take out the T69. And once he was down, it was one combat tank down, positional advantage, the entire map control Unity. Unity win 2-0. That's it. That's all we can say about that. So, You Are Dead goes down to the losers bracket, I believe. That wasn't the losers bracket. So they are down. They have a second chance, and they go against Noah. Was it Noah? We have to see the brackets in a minute.
No, Noah won theirs.
Noah
they
won
won on EP is the one that went to losers
so
bracket.
Energy Pacemaker from China will be able to have a second go. So both those teams will be fighting probably soon enough in the lobby. But we'll find out what game we'll be casting as soon as we can. But there's not much else we can say about that game. Disappointing, I think, from URD. But let's throw it over to the experts there so to see if they can take it apart and find out what exactly went wrong for You Are Dead.
Thank you, gentlemen. Well, You Are Dead lived up to their name, and when it came to mines, moving up to the east, answered my question of what happens. Well, Real Kill is known for saying one of the best sayings in World of Tanks, forward is the best direction. And when you get caught out like that, even if you're pushing east, you have to have a strategic plan to keep going instead of heading back, losing that momentum, going the opposite way, being completely overmatched because of their positioning on the higher ground, and leaving a man behind. Onionhead getting killed by the ram damage. Onionhead is actually one of the top players, especially with this kill-death ratio out there in the Southeast Asia region. But this was Red Rush Unity dominance, something that we're not too surprised to see. But You Are Dead is still in the mix. They will be in the losers bracket facing Energy Pacemaker, and we'll find out which match we're going to be seeing on the main stage a little bit later. Gentlemen, anything we need to add about Red Rush Unity and the performance that they had in these two games?
Well, in the mines, we talked about the east push before the match, and well, they took the hill control. They saw the push coming from the east, and that pretty much stole them. There was the Pershing T69 is alone in the middle. Let's just kill him, and well, the game went there. They lost to one of their tier 8 tanks. It's really hard to come back from that. And yeah, the only way is forward. So they went reverse and caught up. And
well, even in game 1 on Ensk, Onionhead got wiped out very quickly at the beginning. And because of that, it was a 4-on-5. And Red Rush Unity used that to their advantage. And who wouldn't? Is there anything different that You Are Dead needs to bring if they were to face Red Rush Unity again, or for any of their matches that they have in the future?
They seem to be disorganized as a team. They don't really move like a unified team. Like, this is a perfect example. They really forgot the guy below. You cannot do that by doing some push. They like him completely alone, like Red Rush Unity will ignore him. He's not a pixel on a map. He's a tank to be killed. So those are really heavy prices to some, I would say, inexperience. Maybe they're just anxious because this is a really big tournament for them, and they traveled over half of the globe. So maybe they're paying price to that. I don't know. But what they're showing up now, they really have to boost their performance and aggressiveness, especially.
Yeah. One thing I would like to highlight, though, is the tank selection that they brought. They brought a 5100 to mines. Is this a viable option for any of those teams to bring? Or would you rather have a T69, a 1390, or possibly a T32, depending on what type of strategy you're going to use?
Well, the tactic they used is really 5100. You usually use it as in defensive tactics, like camping in your base.
Yeah, from way back to the south to get those long-range shots.
Shooting from your base. Or if you make a really aggressive from push to the middle, you can bring 5100 in the second wave. Like when everyone else is sprawling, you come with the 6 shots. You need to make them count every single shot. And if you can make that, you might win the game.
Do you have your 5100 as a spearhead of your train, no matter what place you're pushing, east, west, whatever? Or does it stay in the middle section of the push from your team?
It will be the last guy into the battle. Well, and usually the first guy out.
It should be. It should be, right?
Yeah.
Unless it gets taken out.
There is a version of these tactics, but it's usually played from north. You can send 1 or 2 tanks to be at the middle, and then you strike with several clippers from the other side, like they did. But it's never used from south, because once you lose control of the middle, it's just topography of terrain. They're not using it right, nothing more.
Yeah. Well, the next match is going to be NOA versus Red Rush Unity. Those teams are going to get set up on the main stage, and we're going to come back with that match in just a little bit. But our buddy Sean got to check out the venue. Let's take a look at what he's up to.
Thanks, guys. Now, as we know, we are here in a cinemaplex, and this place is huge and also quite fitting because the games are nothing short of epic, legendary, movie magic kind of stuff. And that's the way you expect it to be when you're watching World of Tanks, and especially that's no exception in the grand finals. Now, one thing that goes with any movie experience is, of course, popcorn. So I'm going to go and find some of that.